So today's message is going to be quite different than the others. And the reason for this is that uh, I got to tell you something about the occult world in order for you to understand why you're seeing the insanity that you're seeing today. Jesus spoke about it as times of lawlessness, the times of the days of Noah and the days of Lot will be like seen again in the end times. And that is precisely what we're seeing. But people don't understand it, especially in the church. A lot of people are ignoring it. It doesn't make it go away. Things are going to get crazy. And so I've been doing a series on basically looking at the Theosophical Society and the occult version of what's going on, because Alice Bailey actually channeled that the hierarchy, which is the Ephesians 6:12 crowd, will be coming back or begin to externalize themselves into people by the year 2025, or the beginning of the year 2025. So the years, like the 50, 60, 70 years preceding that, it will step up in the last, 4 or 5 years before 2025, and the years beyond it will go through the roof of what this means. And so far, everything that she has prophesied has been more accurate than so-called Christian prophets on TV. It doesn't make her a Christian. It just simply knows that the principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, and hosts of wickedness in heavenly places do know that their appointed time of doom cometh, and they know the time. They know the year. And they've channeled it to her, that something about 2025. We don't know exactly what that means, and it's still hypothetical, but so far everything that she's saying is stepping up and coming to fruition. If you don't understand what's going on, you can get really discouraged and you don't know what to do. There are two things to do in this time, and that is one, if the mass of people can organize and get themselves and come against this thing and have a like they did in the book of Maccabees, actually take action and do away with this stuff. That's one way of God implements justice back in the world. And the second way is when that doesn't happen, there's only a very small remnant of people. And that goes back to the first century church. The first century church was a very small group of people who took down the system. And they did it by showing acts of kindness, you know, uh, you know, do good rather than evil, stuff like that, and showing kindness and mercy and helping people. And that won over the masses and showed what true Christianity is about. Against this, we've been fighting against a big bad foe all these years. And this foe we're going to be talking about today. So this is why this stuff is very important, because it'll help you understand. So in order to understand what I'm getting ready to teach, I'm going to be reading from excerpts. I can't read the entire thing for copyright reasons, but I'm going to be reading from Alice Bailey and Anna Besant as well, who is the protege of Helen Blavatsky, who took over the Theosophical Society after Blavatsky bit the dust, and then Alice Bailey took over after Anna Besant got in trouble or something. And so I want to show some of this stuff, and the reason I am, and is like I said, you need to know what's going on. It's the best way to know, because they lay it out coherently, and you'll understand things better, and what's going on, what you're seeing, as I just said. But I am going to read it, but I'm going to give you the interpretation, because in the Treaty of Cosmic Fire, she has these stanzas. They're very mystical written, and you can't understand them. And so what I did was interpret them. So people ask me, how did I interpret them? Well, it's through the powers of deduction, pure powers of deduction, because I've been studying this stuff. And what I found in the stanzas here is what we're seeing today, and exactly what we're seeing today. That's why I'm saying, because in those stanzas, it talks about a flood that came in eons past against the Watchers. It mirrors Genesis chapter 6 and reveals the oldest religion in the world. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So with that, we are going to get started. Well, folks, there's an ancient religion that goes further back than you can imagine, folks. It goes further back than ancient Egypt, Assyrian, Babylonia, or Persia. It goes farther back than China. It's traced way beyond the prehistoric era, actually. It blossomed and bloomed during the days of Genesis chapter 6 when the Nephilim walked this earth. The fallen watchers and the Nephilim were the first worshippers of this secret religion without a name. Today, it's still active and very much alive, and yet this religion has absolutely no name and it remains a secret. Its founder goes by many different names, and it's very confusing because people just simply can't believe that this could actually be happening in this modern world of ours. Yet it is. In fact, secret societies like the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the Theosophical Society, the Fabians, the alchemy, Hermeticism are different denominations of this religion. I bet you didn't know that. And they all have their vast differences of opinions, and some are in conflict with each other. But they share the same goals and the same ideas to create a new utopia. And the conflict that they have with each other is by design in order to create this new utopia. People like Theosophical leader Charles W. Ledbetter, H.P. Blavatsky, Alice Bailey all channeled its ideas and plan. In fact, the Corpus Hermeticum, or Hermeticism, speaks about it. The word Gnosticism provides this religion with its voice. Gnosticism and Hermeticism are the two of the oldest recorded versions of this religion. Gnosticism comes from the Greek word gnosis, meaning a specific type of knowledge. It's not talking about head knowledge or scientific information or establishing of facts and figures and so forth or general intelligent knowledge. It's rather Gnosticism seeks revelation knowledge from above to below. Okay, it seeks divine knowledge, illumination from a divine origin called the divine mind. The basic tenor of Gnosticism is to have gnosis from a divine mind reveal the essence of love, equity, inclusiveness, seduction, beauty, universal mind, a universal family of man into one's mind. That's the basic tenor of it. When it talks about love, you need to think of love bombing somebody with an agenda behind it. Okay. So, Gnosticism involves a process of initiation to human beings by the means of giving human agents revelation knowledge that later overshadows a person, leading them to receive newer and deeper revelations because they're addicted to these new secret revelations. So one becomes part of an elite class separated from the commoners. One becomes part of the God class. They control and rule all because they have in their genetic being and ability. I can't get into it. Gary Wayne, who wrote the Genesis 6 Spirit Conspiracy, can talk all about the genetic bloodline. They have a right to rule humanity because they're all about what Gnosticism is about, is to make a new spiritual world by finally defeating the material or physical world. Folks, Gnosticism is a parasitic religion. It's a parasite. And it uses concepts and words from all major religions of the world and hijacks them in order to move all toward a one world religious system. There are variations of its creation story seen in the ancient creation myths, okay? When one God, our divine mind, the great architect of the universe, poured himself out or was chopped up in some manner, and it varies all over the place. And from his being sprang, or from his blood sprang helper gods, angels, and humanity came on the scene. According to Gnostic tradition, this was a spirit world, a perfect spirit world, where matter substance is seen as inferior and unnecessary because it's all about the elites, the God class. Then one of these lesser created gods rebelled by thinking he was not created by anyone and became known as the demiurge. He created the material universe as a prison, okay? what we see now. He enslaved mankind to take care of it. From this, Gnosticism views the human body as a prison and the physical world as a false reality created by an evil, deluded upstart god called the Demiurge, who is known in this very secret religion that Gnosticism is all about. It pontificates as the Jewish Christian god. Thus, the oldest divine mind seeks to liberate humanity from this demiurge with its Judaic-Christian traditions, its conservative thinking, its libertarian views, its free thinkers, free us from traditional families, return back to the spirit world of a new golden dawn. To achieve this divine mind works through his spiritual hierarchy, known as the Ephesians 6 crowd. Their helpers, human helpers, to eradicate all the material world so it is governed by this religion's secret God. This comes to human agents by means of receiving the secret Gnostic revelation knowledge, to find freedom from the material world by becoming a divine spirit, where your divine spirit overpowers your physical body. I'm having fun with this, folks. I really am. Thus, Jewish people, Christians, conservatives, fair-minded souls, libertarians, free market capitalism are viewed as materialistic. The enemy who must be erased. Along with the God of the Bible, in the last days, this ideology will be made manifest in full. The Antichrist, it says in the Bible, will war against the saints. Why? Because this founder of this new religion, as the Lord Jesus Christ, as the God of the Bible tells us, is the actual devil. In Gnosticism, secret revelation knowledge reveals itself by portraying itself on its enemies. So the demiurge is actually Satan, Lucifer, and all his henchmen, not the God of the Bible. So you got to understand that. That's why you see this manifestation in the world against conservatives and Christians and free-thinking values as the enemy, and that they got to be stopped. They're a threat to democracy. You hear any of that lately? Now you know why. Because Gnosticism is a parasitic religion and parasitic entity that goes into politics too and over every aspect of life. It infiltrates all religions and governments in order to make a one world universal religion, a one government type of world that seeks to destroy the old material order to find liberation to enter the spiritual world. How do you like them apples? Okay, let's go to this slide. Anna Besant wrote in the Pedigree of Man in 1903, she describes Gnosticism as a struggle to join the physical by conquering it with the spirit with help from the hierarchy. And I quote, "Man is not his body." Okay, let me just stop and give you some quotes here. Gnosticism teaches you that humanity, we are imprisoned wrongfully in this physical body. And to be liberated, you need to achieve spirit. You need to become like God, a spirit being, because the creator God is hiding something from you. So you want to be like God is spirit. So you want to return to your spiritual state. He's bad because he puts you in this physical body. He wants you to take care of this perfect paradise called Eden, okay? But if you follow the new God of this world, he will liberate you from that. Okay, that's the idea behind Gnosticism. And I quote Anna Besant, "Man is not his body. The body is but the garment that he wears. Man can never be understood when you leave out of his pedigree the spirit that makes him eternal and intelligence, which is the aspect of that spirit differentiating itself in the world of matter and manifesting as intellect as a mind." She, meaning H.P. Blavatsky, taught us that in trying to understand man and his pedigree, we must mark three great lines of evolution. First, the spiritual, which is far the most important, for spirit is the master of matter, guides it, shapes, and builds from it. Okay? So what she's saying, that if you get back to the spirit, reshape matter and get it back to its original state, a spiritual state. a better, more perfect, more equitable, more beautiful world where you're not imprisoned in this flesh. This is Gnosticism. This is the lie of the enemy seen in the Garden of Eden. Okay, and it is okay. And she goes on, and I quote, when we have traced the spiritual evolution, the physical evolution, and the intellectual evolution, then there unfolds us a vast picture in which we can see the whole pedigree of man traced in broad, illuminative outlines, and we can begin to understand something of the wonder of that human nature, which is God, God in manifested form, divine in essence and powers. Human nature, which is God, God in manifested form of the divine essence and power. You know, doesn't that sound like a serpent in a tree talking to Adam and Eve? You eat of this tree, you will be like God. You're enslaved to this physical world, Eve and Adam. You know, you can take this over and create it and get back to the spiritual thing because God's keeping your spirit from you. Now, when Adam and Eve fell, when you read the like Josephus and some other ancient writings and stuff, and go through some biblical commentaries, what you'll find out that Adam and Eve were clothed in light. And when we fell, we lost that light of God, that light, let me try to explain it. Moses was on the mountain. He saw God. He glowed brightly for 3 days. Okay. So the idea is when Adam and Eve walked with God, they glowed. So they were clothed in God's light. And so the devil tricked them to strip them of that light. And so we became what we look like now. How do you like that? And not too pleasant when the body grows old. And so basically through sin entraps us into this physical world. Okay. So the devil's playing, betting on people who want to be free from this physical prison through Gnostic thought by receiving divine revelation from the divine mind of Satan himself. That is Gnosticism. Plain and simple, folks. That's what it's talking about. This religion actually began eons ago, and its leader is described in Revelations chapter 12, verses 3 through 9. Let me put it on the screen and read it for you. And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 diadems on his head. His trail drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to earth. Verse 7 says, and war broke out in heaven, and Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought, but they did not prevail, nor was a place found for them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to earth, and his angels were cast out with him, folks. You know, that's what the Bible teaches. That's how this religion began. It began long ago in a rebellion in heaven. We don't have much on that in the Bible. Some people say it happened in the first days of creation. Some say up to the 4th day of creation. We don't know when exactly this rebellion happened, but it happened. And then when humanity came on the scene, the devil had a plan to corrupt humanity and bring it into this spiritual world to be like God. When the devil says that he wants to be like the Most High, he wants to exalt his throne above God's, now you know what he's talking about. It's Gnosticism. Gnosticism is the voice of the secret religion which worships Satan. It's not Satanism as you think about it. This is a higher form of it. This is Satanism, I call it. It's secret. Only can, gather by secret divine revelation from the devil himself. The real devil founded this parasitic religion in a tree, the tree of knowledge of good and evil, in order to change humanity's mortal nature to be like God, a spiritual being free from the imprisoning demiurge, the upstart God known as the God of the Bible, which is actually the God, our creator, actually Lord of the universe, who created the devil. The devil is actually the demiurge, okay? And why? Well, he wants to liberate us to from being in this material world. How? By pitting God, goodness, against himself, okay? His good character, his character traits. I taught this many times before. So, to be free, one is divinely liberated by pitting good and evil against each other to change the world, to make a new heaven on earth for a new spiritual man made in the devil's light, a superman, an Uberman, who is no longer in the prison of the body and are enslaved to take care of the material world. You will own nothing and you will be happy about it. Yeah, we don't feed your bug burgers because we know what's best for you. That is the mentality of the God class. They're all over the place. Go to the World Economic Forum, for example, and see the God class in action. Well, to get there involves rejecting the form humanity was originally created in and blend the masculine with the feminine. As I said last week, how? By making God live up to his own standards, tempting God to go against his own nature and character, which is the manipulation of the knowledge of good and evil. So you manipulate the knowledge of the good and evil. This is the plan. It's called the three-pillar system, or which Friedrich Hegel defined as thesis, antithesis, and synthesis, which is the pillar system. The three-pillar system is the masculine, good, and fair, compassion, and the divine feminine, which is chaotic, severity of justice. You put these two together in order to create chaos, to blend the two together into synthesis to create a state of nirvana, which is dissolvement of the world into a state of nothingness. It's a bliss of nothingness is what it is. So this unnamed religion is hinted at as being a more truer, purer form of Satanism. It's Satanism, but it's a purer form of it. Whom the secret God gives divine revelation on how to make a perfect, better world by following his perceptions, his knowledge, his illumination, his understanding, his light. Above the all-seeing eye, above Baphomet, is another light. That's the secret God. And secret societies have all these symbols too. This knowledge is all about destroying God's material creation, causing people to enjoy doing so they can achieve their spiritual state. This is deception. It's an enchantment. You're going to create this perfect world of equity and inclusion, and we are going to honor Mother Earth and make all these wonderful things. You'll own nothing and be happy about it. Ruled by the elite because we have the right to rule. Hello. And that's the mindset. But in process of doing it, what's going to happen, you'll achieve the spiritual Superman state. You'll be spirit. You'll master materialism. Materialism is bad. And so you will be godlike. Well, you will enter your spiritual state. If you follow this stuff and don't know who Jesus Christ, you're going to enjoy your spiritual state in the confines of hell, because hell was made for the devil and his fallen watchers originally, and human agents who follow after this, who do not accept Christ. You need to know where the devil's going with this stuff about all this equity and inclusion. Diversity, equity, inclusion score, governmental score. Yeah, I know where this is headed, folks. In fact, this is seen in Genesis chapters 3 through 6. Why the devil did this was first to stop the promised Messiah, Jesus Christ, coming into the world through the seed of a woman in order to save humanity. He wanted to stop that. He wanted to stop Jesus coming in and reconciling mankind and humankind back to himself. And God said to the devil, after all, in Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, this very thing. I'll put enmity between you and the woman, between your seed and her seed, and he will bruise your head, and he shall bruise his heel. Who is his seed? I want to slap some people, and because this is not a serpent seed, I just feel like slapping people with a good nature, loving slap across the face. Who is the seed? It's the hierarchy. It's the principalities, powers, hosts of wickedness in heavenly places, who will promise to come back in the year 2025, begin externalizing themselves inside of human agents again. large scale, through mass possession. Go to my last few videos, you'll understand what I'm saying. And they're sent to corrupt humanity. The roots of Gnosticism and Hermeticism is seen in the sons of Cain as well, and what they did, and the type of knowledge they got. I won't have time to go into all that. They worshipped as in living and serving according to the divine revelation from the devil's perception, knowledge, understanding, inclinations that they received. Okay? Again, this hierarchy is going to come back in the year 2025. And I quote Alice Bailey in Externalization of Hierarchy 281. Thus, a great new movement is proceeding and tremendously increasing interplay and interaction is taking place. Folks, it's taking place. It's taking place. What? Will go on until 2025. During the years intervening between now and then, very great changes will be seen taking place. In 2025, the date in all probability will be set for the first stages of the externalization of the hierarchy. Folks, that's what it means by what Jesus says. I'll put enmity between you and the woman and between your seed and her seed. Does that make more sense to you now? Now you see some evidence of what I'm saying, that these entities like to talk and brag on themselves, and they said this themselves. Isn't that interesting? Well, Jesus warns us in Matthew chapter 24, Luke chapter 17 and 21, as it was in the days of Noah, he will come and rescue his people. The days of Noah are seen in Genesis chapter 6:1. So let me go to Genesis chapter 6:1. And it talks in Genesis chapter 6:1, it talks about people multiplying on the face of the earth, and sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were beautiful, and they took wives, so forth, etc. Note the Bible reveals that the sons of God are called watchers in the Bible. The Bible calls these watchers. They're known as angels, seraphim, and cherubim, and so forth, etc. And then in verse 6 of Genesis, and there were giants on the earth in those days, and afterwards, and the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those are the mighty men who are old and the men of renown. And there were giants, are Nephilim in the world, folks. These are not the sons of Seth and the daughters of Cain, because Bible interprets Bible, folks. How do I know that? Because in Jude chapter 1:6, it talks about the angels who did not keep their proper domain but left their own abode or first estate. He has reserved an everlasting change until under darkness for the judgment day. Folks, when I go through the Cambridge Bible and commentary here on this, on that verse, it talks about leaving their first abode or first estate as leaving their form. They shed their original design and form. They became something else. Just saying. Because, the idea of the Gnostic, that ism, which holds the germ seed of knowledge about this stuff, is that they're coming against God's material universe and world in order and design and seek to create their own. In order to do that, they shed their form. Think about it. I'm quoting, that's from Cambridge Bible Commentary, the Cambridge. It's a world-renowned Bible commentary, and you can get it online and read it yourself about these verses. 2 Peter 2:4, for God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them down to hell and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved for judgment. What's he talking about there? He's talking about the first Enoch. He's referring to first Enoch. In fact, Jude and Peter there quote the book of Enoch. It's not scripture, get over it. It's a reference tool, and it wouldn't be quoted in the scripture if you didn't want to use it as a reference, because it fills in some gaps. And so the fallen watchers were there, and 200 of the leading ones were sent to the abyss. And that's who he's talking about. To be reserved in judgment. Genesis chapter 6, verse 5. Then the Lord God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and every intent of the thoughts of his heart were only evil. And that's exactly what happened when these things came on the earth. Next, in the book of Jasher, first Enoch and Jubilees, and Josephus all make mention of this same event. The book of Jasher is quoted in the Bible in the book of Joshua, concerning the sun standing still. Again, it's a reference tool. Okay, so First Enoch, chapters 13 through 20, I can't read it all, describes how 200 of these head-fallen angelic beings who left their first estate, as the book of Jude explains, to corrupt humanity, and were imprisoned. In the book of Jasher, he explains how the chief leaders of humanity learned the secrets to mix entirely different species together, and how they gave their young woman to these fallen watchers, and the world became evil. Josephus and other people in other ancient writings talked about the same event. The early church fathers did, how they made giants, or the Nephilim. And by mixing two different species together, therefore you had what Alice Bailey would call in Cosmic Fire, animal men. And the Theosophical Society talks about animal men. There's different types. There's like 3 different types of animal men that I can piece together right now. One is the lower materialistic world man. The animalistic man has to shed his animalistic stuff, become spirit, or the animal man of the ancient watchers, which he describes, I think, in there in the Cosmic Fire. I didn't quote that, but I'm just saying. So you're mixing 2 entirely different species. We're seeing that today in the last 20-some years. We're seeing DNA manipulation with chimeras and other things going on right now. Don't think I'm not. I don't know what I'm talking about. They're mixing jellyfish with rabbits back in 2016 to make glow-in-the-dark bunnies. 2 separate, entirely different species, which was impossible until only recently. Evidently, they knew how to do this back then. So through the book of Jasher, we see that they mixed one species with another. And that's why you have in ancient mythology and stuff, in my opinion here, why you see half human, half animal type of entities. These were called Nephilim. And also hybrid humans. And they want to make genetically pure humans still. They want to alter humanity, make designer babies. You think I'm crazy? Go look on the latest genetic testing and genetic engineering going on in the fields of science right now. Next, in the book of Jubilee, chapter 10, verses 1 through 2, explains how the devil said he needed these head leaders that were held captive, the 200 of them, that were in the abyss of hell. He needed someone to help him act as some sort of medicine to humanity. I'm not going to go into it right now. I taught on this before, okay? So 20 of these beings were released from the abyss. 180 of them were promised, like it says in the book of Enoch. They were to remain in the abyss for 20 generations. And maybe those 20 generations somehow get erased, and it's coming out just before the year 2020, 25, and afterwards, when the rest of them are released. Just hypothetically thinking, let your mind wander. If that is the case, the world's going to go more crazy. You'll see more mixing of species. You're going to see a more push for Gnostic thought, destruction of material world. Okay, these fallen watchers are the principalities mentioned in Ephesians 6:12. Under them are the powers, rulers of darkness, hosts of wickedness that were leaderless because their leader was sent to the abyss. So now they have 20 of them, and plus the devil himself. They have 21 of them, and they help the devil rule this fallen world. They deceive folks with lying signs, displays of power, and miracles, and mislead people to get them off the right track. They spare no one and use any means to get people off track. They get folks to follow after enchanting deceptions gleaned from this secret revelation knowledge that comes from the devil's perception, understanding, insights, and knowledge that will free humanity from the material world of family work, where you own the nothing and will be happy about it. You want to create a workers' paradise, a fascist world order run by the Uberman class, the God class, the great merchants of the earth. Yellow. There's even an occult version of Ephesians chapter 6 crowd that's seen in Genesis chapter 6. The occult version of Genesis chapter 6, channeled to Alice Bailey's in the Treaties of Cosmic Fire, seen on Treaties of Cosmic Fire, page 13. It says, the sons of God emerged from out their source and gazed on a sevenfold work, and it stated it was good. She's talking about the sons of God, as it says in Genesis chapter 6. She identifies the sons of God in her writings as fallen watchers. She identified the Antichrist as being an imprisoned watcher in the abyss who is going to be released to come back to rule the world. She calls him the silent watcher. Let your mind roll. I'm going to show you the occult version, not to glorify the occult here. I'm going to interpret this I have things in blue headlining that I'm going to interpret. So you'll understand this, then we'll put all this together. You ready to take off? This may be a long one today, we'll see. Page 16 and 17 of Treaties of Cosmic Fire says, now becomes a time that was, the eon merged into space, the word of motion hath been heard, the word of love succeeded. No, what does all that mean? Okay, let me give you the interpretation. I wrote it just below here. It says, the now becomes the time that was. What does that mean? The time now. In other words, back then there was rebellion, and time was seen to take over humanity and get rid of God's order and design and erase it. Get back to the spiritual light of the devil. Okay? Make a more spiritual world. But you'll own nothing and you'll be happy about it. Yeah. Double. Now becomes a time that was, the aeon, or eon, merged into space. Space means the unsealed wheel of change. In other words, these are cycles of change. Okay? The words of motion means the visible change that is seen by perception that measures the cycle of change that are not seen. That's what the words of motion mean. Hath been heard, the word of love succeeded. This means the second ray of initiation that involves secret knowledge about magnetism of the wisdom of love, i.e. love bombing. We're going to love bomb you. Most cults and corruptness love bomb a person to feel a need of acceptance and warning, that you have worthwhileness. And you don't heed the warning of it at all, but you're just taken in by the love bombing, the bombing, that they really like me. They want my best interest they want my peace and safety and security, and they love bomb you, and you let your guard down, and they control your life, and your life spins into hell itself. How many of you out there grew up with narcissist or a psychopathic parent or a Machiavellian type of parent, or in a system like that? They love bomb you, don't they? And it ain't good, is it? They have. And some of you folks that are listening to me, you've been so traumatized by it. If someone says, I love you, you go, what are you after? What's your game? So you put up this wall to protect yourself. Think about it. That's the second ray of initiation, love bombing. The word of love succeeded, love bombing. The past controlled the form, the material. The now evolves the life, the spiritual. This is Gnosticism. This is what she's saying. I'm interpreting this for you so you can understand the language. I put that down in the blue letters there so you can see what I'm talking about. So we're going to go to stanza page 16 of Cosmic Fire, stanza 9. 30,000 million watchers refused to heed the call. We enter not the forms, they said, until the seventh eon. The twice 30,000 million hearkened to the call and took the forms designed. 30,000 million watchers. That's an astronomical number. Some people say, I can't even quote how many. Some people talk about trillions. Others talk about multiplied billions of angels. It's an unspecified number, but there's basically 1/3 rebelled and 2/3 stayed loyal to God. Okay. That's what it's saying. 30,000 million watchers refused to heed the call. We enter not the forms. In other words, they left their first estate. They didn't want to keep the form that they have for themselves. They wanted to change their form to be liberated. But 2/3, look here, didn't hearken to the call and took the forms that God designed them. Then it goes on, the rebellious ones laughed within themselves and sought a parallelic peace until the seventh aeon. But the seven great lords called to the greater Kohans, or greater spirits, with the eternal Has of the third cosmic heaven, entered into a debate. The dictum went forth, the laggards in the highest sphere heard it echo through the scheme, not till the seventh aeon, but in the 14th seventh will chance again come around. The first shall be last, and the time be lost for aeons, or eons. Okay, so what is he talking about? So it talks about the dictum went forth, the laggards in the highest sphere heard it echo throughout the scheme, not until the seventh aeon. The seventh aeon correlates to the seventh ray of initiation. That involves secret knowledge involving ceremonial magic and rituals, and basically what you think of, Harry Potter type stuff. High-ordered witchcraft come into the scene, like the ancient pharaohs had. Their sorcerers were able to turn their serpents into snakes as well as Moses, okay? And they were able to duplicate not a few of the signs of God's wrath being poured out on the ancient pagan gods of Egypt, actually, upon the people who worshiped them. But they couldn't do all of them. So that's what it's talking about. There's going to be an age when this final seventh age, when all the occult works get, and everybody's initiated, and these folks in the top of the food chain are conjuring stuff and inviting the hierarchy back by the year 2025. This is what I pieced together, folks. I'm just saying, this is hypothesis here. Well, we're seeing the fruit of it, so there's evidence that it's actually happening. And so these will inhabit human beings to exercise greater magic, or occult works, spell casting, stuff like that. Not till the seventh aeon, but at the 14th seven, and I don't have time to go and talk about the 14th seventh. The chance will come again around. Well, the 14th seventh is basically, there's going to be a time where a lot of these entities, the leaders, are going to be imprisoned. And at the 14th age, or eon, they're going to be released. And they channel this around about 2025. Keep tracking with me if you're interested. If not, you can turn me off. And it goes on. The obedient sons of, I put down here, the stuff in blue is what I put in here for you to understand. The obedient sons of divine mind, of the devil, connected with the sons of heart, the fallen watchers, and the evolution has spiraled on its way. The sons of power stayed in their appointed place through cosmic karma, forced a handful to join the sons of the fallen watchers. What is saying here lines up with the Enoch, Jasher, and Jubilees, lines up with Genesis chapter 6. And Revelation chapter 12, 1/3 fell, 2/3 remained loyal. How did they fall? They got rid of their form. Jude chapter 1 verse 6 says they left their first estate. They left their form. They didn't want to behold the form that they were created in. They wanted to be like God. They wanted to be a pure spirit. Because God was keeping a secret from them. Boy, I can go in 100 directions right now, but I better not. I better avoid that. So let's look at the next slide here. The 14th seventh eon, the sons of mind and heart, the sons of divine mind and the fallen watcher's heart, absorbed by endless flame, will join the sons of will, meaning human beings, and the man Van Trek, which means a long period of manifestation. 3 times the wheel will turn. Okay, so I'm going to start interpreting some of this stuff. So what is this talking about here? It's talking about the man Van Trek, or long periods of time for the sons of will. The sons of will are human agents who are connected with the fallen entities. Okay, they gave their will over to the devil's perception, his understanding, his insight, his knowledge, his illumination. Keep tracking with me here. 3 times the wheel will turn, and okay, I wrote down here, there are 6 wheels of change. The third is close to the third ray of initiation of adaptability seen on Earth through Saturn's reign. The 7th wheel is the final age of the Magi. Occult craft and new spirituality has become actualized. The plan comes to fruition. That's what it's saying. 6 wheels. The third ray of initiation is secret knowledge to bring about Saturn's reign, or the end of Saturn's reign, in order for the Antichrist to come back. The 7th wheel is the final stage of the Magi. Occult craft, new spiritualities actualized, where you become, your spirit overpowers the material world, and you create synthesis. You're going to have gender neutral pronouns. We're going to erase what it means to be human. We don't want the family anymore. That's patriarchal. Capitalism is materialistic. Christians are materialistic. They are the enemy. They're the dark pillar. They are the enemy, and they must be destroyed. They're a threat to our democracy. Have you heard anything like that lately? Wonder why. I'm telling you why. At the center stand the Buddhas means enlightened ones, of activity, helped by the lords of love. Don't be fooled by love. Let me interpret it for you. Okay? They mean love bombing. The center stands the enlightened ones of activity, helped by the lords of love bombing. And following their twofold work will come the radiant lords of power. Twofold means the second ray of initiation, which is the magnetism of the secret knowledge of the magnetism of the wisdom of love bombing. Will work their radiant lords of power. And so you're going to gain power over people by love bombing them. This is initiating the lower ranked human beings to be love bombed into initiation to get rid of gender, get rid of materialism, enter this new spiritual age, which these people know all about, coming around the year 2025, and they have 2030. I'll talk about 2030 later on. I'm not making this up. This stuff was written back in the 40s. I wish I would teach this stuff in the church to warn people about it and prepare the people for what's coming. And maybe it could have been, if the church was a salt and the light of the world, we could have prevented this and people would have rejected it right out. Then the Buddhas, the enlightened ones of creation from out of the past, have come. The Buddhas of love or love bombing gather now. The Buddhas, the enlightened ones, will at the final turn of the third major wheel will flash into being. Intellect, the love of God, and the end will be consummated. In other words, this is talking about the enlightened ones of the past have come, and if it's correct, in the year 2025, as Alice Bailey said, will come. These enlightened ones will come. And then the Buddhas of love are gathering now. The Buddhas of love bombing, the enlightened ones of love bombing have come. Keep tracking with me. The Buddhas, the enlightened ones, will, at the final turn of the third major wheel, okay, the third ray of initiation here is adaptability. You'll become adapted, okay? Of the third major wheel will flash into being, which goes back to the third ray of intellect, of achieving the love of God, or the love bombing of this God, of Satan. Okay, it's the third ray of adaptability. So you will have this, in the last days, you'll have to adapt. You're going to have to get rid of your gender pronoun. You're going to have to let the criminals out on the street. You got to destroy the material world. You're justified because you have a higher calling, because you're going to make a new perfect world. Well, you'll own nothing and be happy about it. Run by the elite, you'll have a feudal society governed with an iron fist of love bombing. We love you so much. We want your peace and your safety. Yellow, says the bald-headed bimbo from Davos. Yeah, and his minions. If you don't believe in overshadow people, just go check out the World Economic Forum on their own website and see what overshadow people look like, what they say, what they're thinking. Let's go to the next stanza. Stanza 10. The fifth progresses, and from the remnants of the fourth multiplied and reproduced. I said that in this big intro. I said, I'm going to be putting the meaning in blue here so you can understand what they're saying. So this will make sense to you, because it's pure deduction. It's like cracking a code that's really ridiculously simple. And you know the language, you crack the code. So it's just pure deduction. It's not too hard to do if you take the time. I don't advise people doing this because you're dealing with deception and enchantment of these entities. And I always wondered why the Lord wanted me to do this, and I fought, resisted, and finally I said, okay, Lord, if you really want me, I'm going to do it. Then I did it grudgingly, and fighting and kicking and screaming, and then it finally dawned on me, and I said it on air a few weeks ago, why? I saw hell. I know people don't believe that I died or whatever. I don't care. But I died and I saw hell, and I saw deception. I saw what these entities are like. And I'm seeing it in Alice Bailey and Theosophical Society, Hermeticism, and the rest of the occult world, and their seduction. I see it happening in the world right now. We are experiencing it right now. And if you're not well, cover yourself with the blood of Jesus and understand this, you can't research this stuff. It'll overwhelm you. So be careful if you don't. I'm advising you, just don't read Alice Bailey stuff verbatim. Type in keywords like government, 2025, 1980, stuff like that, and see what happens in some of her works. See what pops up. You'll be amazed. Type in the word watch, watchers, so forth, etc. You will be amazed what pops up. So the fifth progresses from the remnants of the fourth multiplied and reproduced. Okay, what does that mean? Fifth is the fifth ray of initiation, and the fourth ray of initiation. So the fifth ray of initiation involves concrete knowledge, science, intellect under Venus, and the fourth ray involves beauty, harmony through conflict or chaos to bring about uniformity coming by experience. For growth comes by Mercury, the moon, and Seraphis in order to receive secret knowledge about the purity of God. What does that mean? The purity of God is spirit. In order to achieve spirit, you have to create chaos and conflict to eradicate the material world so people reach their spiritual state in a more equitable, more inclusive, loving kind of world where people are ruled by the spirit. I mean, these people are deluded. They're deceived. They're in the halls of government. They believe it. We have a brain dead dude in the White House now who mouthing this stuff. Amazing to see. And it goes on, says, the waters arose and sank, and all was submerged. The sacred remnant in the place appointed emerged at a later date from out of the zone of safety. Okay? So, this is talking about the flood. This is where it goes in. It talks about the flood later on. I hope I quoted it in my thing. I hope I did. But it does actually say the flood. Okay? The waters arose and sank and was submerged. The sacred remnant in the place appointed emerged at a later date from out of the zone of safety. So in Genesis chapter 6:4, it says there were giants or Nephilim on the earth in those days and also afterwards. So here you have from a cult version that some pointed place of safety for a few of these entities were there. So there were still giants in the land. Don't know how or where they were hid. We don't understand. It's not really clear anywhere. People speculate on that. But from the occult writings you have, it's saying just that. The waters dissipated, the solid ground emerged in certain destined places. The fifth overran the sacred land, and their fivefold groups developed the lower fifth. Okay, what does that mean? Well, I wrote it down. The fifth ray in initiation involves secret revelation concerning concrete knowledge and science and intellect under Venus's guidance to create chaos. So it makes sense. The fifth overran the sacred land. They created chaos. And then their fivefold groups, they created chaos through science and knowledge and intellect, developed a lower fifth, meaning the lower ranks, who are being guided by the principalities and the human agents. Goes by Venus. Venus is known as Aphrodite, known as Azeroth, known as Astarte, known as Ishtar. I'm not making this up. Let's go on. They pass from stage to stage. The watching lords recognize the rupas. Rupas are spiritual reality moving into some physical or spiritual form, okay? A spiritual reality moving in this case, a physical form, gave a sign to the circulating fourth, and it speeded faster on its way. The fourth ray, folks, that's what it's talking about, means beauty, harmony through conflict, okay? It teaches secret knowledge about the purity of God, that you become spirit through creating conflict on earth to overrun the sacred land, overrun God's sacred people. Do you get the picture? I hope you do. They gave a sign to the circulating fourth. The circulating fourth are human agents, and speed it faster on its way. When the lesser fifth had midway passed, and the lesser four were peopling the land, the lords of the dark intent arose. They said, not so shall go the force. Not shall go the force. In the book of Daniel, it talks about the Antichrist worshiping a god of forces. This is what that's talking about. What is a god of forces? What type of god is this worshiping? This is the three-pillar system. This is thesis, antithesis, in order to attack the sacred land through compromise, to create synthesis, so everyone gels with the devil and finally ends up in the same spiritual state as the devil in the confines of hell, if you want to know the reality of the matter. But we're going to put mercy, love bombing, and compassion on one side, and the other side is severity and justice, and we're going to pit these against each other, so you'll compromise your positions with the Lord, compromise the Bible, compromise, so you'll strip yourself of your humanity, so you'll, through chaos and stuff, you'll surrender and become followers of the devil. You'll become a super spiritual Gnostic Uberman. Divine. You'll become your own God. You'll be a spirit like a God. You'll be in God class. Comes by love bombing. So let's look at this. With the lesser fifth, the fifth ray involves concrete knowledge, science, intellect, okay? Pass away from the lesser four. Beauty, harmony through conflict to make everybody uniform. In other words, you got to grow into this by chaos, okay? And the lesser four, the people, were peopling the land. And the lords of dark intent arose and said, not shall go the force. In other words, they're not going to let go of the secret knowledge of thesis, antithesis to create synthesis through compromise. They're not going to let it go. They're going to teach it to humanity. I think they did a pretty good job, especially through Hegel. The forms and the rupas of the third and fourth, the third means the adaptability. It's active intelligence. It's instinct. It teaches secret knowledge about love bombing. And the fourth involves beauty, harmony through conflict, and break down the barriers, destroy forms, destroy the order and design within the corresponding fifth array of an initiation through concrete silence intellect. Alice Bailey and all the theosophists talk about using science and psychology in order to do this. They are called what? Fifth ray aspirants. They constructed other forms. They called for cosmic fire. 7 deep pits of hell belched forth its animating shade. In the incoming seventh, reduced to order all the forms, the white, the dark, the red, and the shaded brown. What is she talking about? The seventh, again, is the ceremonial magic and creating a super spiritual world. That's what that's talking about. And we could continue here. The period of destruction extended far on either hand. The work was sadly marred. The koans, or the super spirits, of the highest plane gazed in silence on the work. The auras and the shaitans and the sons of cosmic evil and their rishas, I don't have time to go into all what they mean, of the darkest constellations gathered their lesser hosts in the darkest spawn of hell. They darkened all the space. This is speaking how they created chaos on the planet. As the Bible says, the men's hearts were bent only on evil. Intent and work of their heart was only on evil, so he shortened our days to 120 years, okay? Jasher, Enoch talks about the same thing. Jubilees talks about it as well. Josephus talks about it. Other ancient writings talk about human beings becoming notoriously evil through their intellect. That's what it's saying. They darkened all the space. Let's go to the next slide. From the coming of heaven sent one peace passed upon the earth. The planet staggered and belched forth fire. Part rose, part fell. The form was changed. Millions took other forms or ascended at their appointed place of waiting, and they tarried till the hour of progress should again sound forth for them. I wrote down here some notes. This talks about what happened on Mount Hermon, and also what will happen again in the year 2025, possibility. We'll see similar things again. Enoch describes how the giants, the Nephilim, became the demons after death. Alice Bailey says the same thing here. Okay, that's what she's saying. So the planet staggered, part rose, part fell, the form was changed, and millions took other forms, ascended to their appointed place of waiting. That's exactly what it's talking about. After death, the Nephilim giants became the demons, and the floods arose and destroyed the land. Okay, the early third, the ray of adaptability, produced the monsters, great beasts, and evil forms they prowled upon the surface of the sphere. Again, the book of Jasher mentions mixing of different species, one with another. You have it here. Goes the watery forth, it means harmony through conflict, produced from within the watery sphere, reptiles, and spawn off evil flame produced the product of their karma. The waters came and swept away the progenitors of the fluidic spawn. Again, fourth ray is beauty through conflict. Okay, secret knowledge about the purity of God, that you'll be a spirit if you just follow and destroy everything. Then the waters swept away the progenitors who made the Nephilim. I'm not kidding. Should I stop or could I keep going? Then she goes on. And I can't remember what stanza. I forgot to put the page number. And it's right below that. I think it's page 16 and 17. It says, the war upon the planet had been waged. Both sides descended into hell. Then came the conqueror of form, the material world of the demiurge. He drew on the sacred fire and purified the rupa, the spiritual, into the physical stages or levels. This is Gnosticism, folks. The fire destroyed the land in the days of the lesser six. The sixth ray of secret knowledge for gaining devotion involves idealism, intellect, which prepares the way for the master to appear to bring about the peace of God on earth, the nirvana's nothingness. Folks, it's talking about the Antichrist. Listen, why? Because look what the next sentence says. When the sixth ray, the Master Jesus appeared in the land was changed. The surface of the globe circled through another cycle. Okay? So the men of the higher fifth mastered the lower three. So what does that mean? The fifth ray is the concrete knowledge. Okay? It's intellect. It's the planet Venus, Ishtar, whatever. It's Master Hilaron. How many of you heard Tom Horn talk about Hilaron? The Hilaron, corresponding to Hillary Clinton, but there is a real Hilaron. Let's go back and look at it. So the fifth ray of initiation, secret knowledge from Master Hilaron, it talks about the truth of God. It comes by the lower three. Here's the lower three below there, 4, 3, and 2. It's love bombing, magnetism, which is under the sun, Jupiter, the Christ, the secret knowledge concerning the wisdom of God, the wisdom of devil, really, the wisdom of Satan, adaptability, active intelligent instinct, which is from Saturn, talks about the, guess what? Love bombing of Satan. Number 4, the fourth ray involves initiation of the masses, involves harmony, beauty through conflict. For growth, teaching the purity that you become a pure spirit. Look what it says. The work was shifted to the plane whereupon the pilgrim, human initiates, stood. The lesser triangle with the lower auric egg became the center of the cosmic dissonance or conflict. What in the world is all this mumbo jumbo talking about? Now I got to go find my notes. Yes. Okay. The auric egg is... it's connecting the physical body, how do I say it? Owing to its form, eventually becomes spirit by destroying the materialism. This is how the Gnostics talk about it. So that's what it's talking about. So the pilgrims, human agents, will be overshadowed and possessed at a particular time in mass to change their form, to hate their material body. Did you not know that 20% of people who identify as Generation Xers or whatever it is, now identify as other genders? Because it's cool, they're being initiated. There's no gender, there's no male, there's no female. Doesn't matter, but in the animal world, there's cows and bulls, but in humanity, there's none of that. Cows and bulls are material. They need to be erased. We need to eradicate cattle. We need to eat bugs. We got to get rid of the material world. Are you seeing this type of ideology, this intellect flowing down from someplace, from the halls of the WEF by chance, and through the world's elites and governments of the world, who want to do away with reality and change it and alter its form? So they have pilgrims and initiates to do this. Now you understand why you're seeing the insanity going on here. So you understand why the love bombing is going on. That's the love bombing is from the secret wisdom of Satan. Adaptability. You can blend everything together because you are, love bombing of God. You have conflict, so you achieve the purity of spirit. Okay? Work shifted to the plane whereupon the pilgrim, the human initiate, stood. The lesser triangle with the lower egg, destroying the material world so you can birth the spirit, comes through cosmic conflict, folks. That is what it is saying. And you're seeing that. People are letting criminals out on the street. Why? Conflict. They're going to play both sides of the fiddle at the same time. Love bomb you and say that you need their peace and safety while you're suffering miserably. Then you'll surrender. It's called a mass psychosis in psychological terms, where people no longer, they can't take it, so they break. And so they just are just mind-numb rubes. Anything you'll say, Master, the beating stop now. If I comply, will I have, can I have a bug burger, please? I'm starving. I'll do anything. I own nothing and be happy about it. I just want to survive. You took our farmland away. We can't grow our food and we're starving. Only you have the answer, oh Master. You love bomb us. You say you love us. Oh, you take care of us. And you surrender through this mass psychosis. I talked about it in one of my videos a while back about mass psychosis. Interesting, isn't it? Stanza 10. The fifth progression from the remnants of the fourth multiplied and reproduced. The waters arose, all sank and was submerged. The sacred remnant in the place appointed emerged at a later date out of the zone of safety. There was war upon the planet. I wonder if any of that had to do with maybe the gap theory might have some truth in it. Or maybe it was the war on the planet in Genesis chapter 6. I don't know which. We have a right to speculate about those things. Nothing wrong with that at all. God wants us to speculate and search out a matter. He wants to reason with us. Satan does not. He wants to dictate how to think. You must abide by the narrative. You must silence all conservative voices. They're materialists. They must be stopped. The Christians, the Judeo-Christian tradition must be erased. Western tradition must be erased. We must accept this new spirituality. Because we're about ready to break out of the Easter egg into a brave and new world. Stanza 11. The wheel of life moves within the form. The Deva, the fallen angels watchers of the fourth, connect with the 35 and blend them with the central 49. Now, what in the world is this talking about? The only way to understand 35 and the central 49 is, what does 35 and 49 mean in Chaldean numerology? Okay, what do those mean? Because this makes absolutely no sense unless you decipher it. How do I know to decipher it from Chaldean numerology? Long ago, I did a series and I wrote an article in the Daily Renegade concerning the Georgia Guidestones and their measurements. I said this was occultic. Their occultic numbers they use will line up and have a message in it. This is what I hypothesized about what its role is. And I use the Chaldean system to interpret what the measurements and the weights of each of the stones, the Georgia Guidestones, and I found the message, what it was conjuring. It has since been destroyed, so it's not there anymore. And so that's how I know what, from experience, from doing things in the on up. So when I see these numbers, I automatically think Chaldean. This is demonic. This is satanic. This is evil. So the only way to interpret, you have to go to look at the occult world's Chaldean numeric system, which correlates to another denomination of the of this evil religion of Satanism, where you become God class, and that's the Chaldean numerology or the Kabbalah, which comes from it. Okay, I won't get into all that. Okay, what does it all mean? Let's go look. The fallen watchers of the fourth of beauty, harmony through conflict connect with the 35, and 35 means in Chaldean numerology. You divide by pitting opinions of materialists against each other to incur disunity, humiliation, loss, financial loss on the materialists who oppose as the best means to gain wealth and power, prestige, and exalt the superiority of the uber class. Opinions, narratives, and plans, as long as they avoid bad advice, bad partnerships, bad speculations, and not be taken aback by obstacles, but press on ruthlessly and aggressively to create conflict and chaos to destroy any who oppose the Gnostic version of the materialist. That is, free thinkers, conservatives, Christians, Jewish people, people of faith, true free thinkers, libertarians, people who love their country. Didn't Biden get up and do this speech last July with this strange background? We must crush Magna, bad. Nationalism, bad. Why? Pit the opinions of the materialists against each other to incur disunity and humiliation and loss. You give them financial loss, folks. Guess what? They're talking about digital currency. We're about to lose our financial stability in the world, our freedom. We're losing our freedom of speech. Now we're going to lose our financial freedom. They're talking about some countries are doing things about this digital currency. Let's go back. There's more to this than meets the eye of a bunch of mumbo jumbo. Each other to incur disunity, humiliation, loss, financial loss on the materialists who oppose. This is done as the best means for the elite here to gain wealth, power, and prestige and exalt their superiority of their opinions and narratives and plans. But they have to avoid bad advice and bad partnerships and speculations. They must ruthlessly press on ruthlessly against all obstacles and destroy any who oppose, which is the materialist. And blend them with the central 49. Here's what the 49 means in Chaldean numerology. By mixing influences, by raising up powerful leaders, diplomats, statesmen, CEOs, etc., so forth. These are called world servers. They infiltrate all the cultural mountains of influence to take them over. This is what she's talking. This is what number 49 means. By mixing the influences, by raising up powerful leaders, diplomats, statesmen, CEOs, etc., and dealing with the masses of people, as well as through dazzling orators who, through their effort of blending all into an establishment of their order, by seductive means of the white pillar of mercy, of harmony and balance with a masculine energy, achieved by putting their own material aside by free choice, by controlling their temper, by retaining their mental superiority over one's fellows. This is achieved by being indifferent to others below one's standing. They must retain their drive that makes them energetic, adamant, fixed to a purpose. The goal here of the hierarchy. And I put a note down there. The goal here is the destruction of God's power, order, and design by altering these by any means possible so mankind achieves their gnostic spiritual state and shares the same fate as the fallen watchers in eternal hell. I'm trying to show you where this leads to. Last slide. The real purpose of this is all revealed on page 455 of Alice Bailey Treaties of Cosmic Fire, and I quote, "It deals with the purposes and plans of the silent watchers over the three planes of the 5 and the 7. It deals with the dynamic force of the great destroying angels on all the planes who will eventually, through the manipulation of the three forms of energy, bring to an end all that is. Bring to an end all that it is." How? These angels are mysterious groups of phoetic lives. Phoetic is cosmic electricity, primordial light, ever-present electrical energy, whatever. It's a ceaseless, destructive, informative power. It's synthesis, okay? These angels are mysterious groups causing synthesis, who sound forth the trumpets of destruction by means of the notes sounded to produce shattering, which will be set loose energy and forms. I'm going to step out on a limb here. And all I'm doing is just giving you my opinion, my hypothesis. And from like 2009-ish on up to 17 or 19, 2019, somewhere around there, especially 2011, 12, so forth, all these strange trumpet sounds are being heard all over the world. People recorded them on their cameras and they recorded the sounds and strange sights in the sky, right? I'm just hypothesizing here, but if this is correct, these angels are a mysterious group of destroying, ceaseless, destructive, informative energy. They're being released, who sound forth trumpets of destruction. Now, let's look at reality. Get off the thing. Let's look at reality now. They're erasing gender. They're going to go digital currency. They're erasing your rights as a human being. They want you to eat bug burgers. They want you to go back to a feudalistic society ruled by elites. You own nothing, you will be happy about it. You see a manner of destruction of farmland over in Netherlands. Are fighting back. Destruction of pension funds, so you don't have any way to maintain your life freely in France. How's it working for you in Britain now with your enlightened leadership? Where do you think this is coming from? Just think. Just think about it. That's where it's heading. It deals with the purpose and plans of the silent watchers over the three planes, the 5 and the 7. It deals with the dynamic force of the great destroying angels on all the planes who will eventually, through the manipulation of all three forms of energy, bring to an end all that it is. Folks, the devil's plan is to wipe out God's order and design so that we achieve a spiritual state to spend with him in the lake of fire for all eternity. Jesus Christ came to set us free from this trap and reconcile us back to God. I want to return to my original form and state with the Lord, not the devil's light. That's the crux of Christianity. The Holy Spirit coming inside of you, bringing reconciliation, teaching you how it really means to be a human being, what fathers are to be to their wives and their kids, the fathers are to the family, and loving your wife, and your wife respecting and loving her husband, and your kids and respect, bring order back into I'd rather go God's way than this destructive way. I just blew the lid off of it for you. Do you want to go in this destructive path that the devil's leading you? You're being bamboozled if you're into Satanism. It's all about love, and love is love. When you're erasing gender, you're erasing things, you're ruthless, you're cruel, you're mean, you're neither loving, nor are you tolerant, nor are you kind. Your actions disprove you and who you follow. And you're going to force Christians to accept you? No. What we will do, since we can't gather the masses to fight with you, we will just lay down our lives and show you that you're neither loving nor kind. We'll wait till Jesus Christ comes back and wipes your clock clean. And our lives will testify of your cruelty and your dominionism and your slavery that you're seeking to put all human beings under. If for some reason you stumble upon this and you're in the occult world or you're into this weird stuff, I didn't cover everything. I couldn't go through all the definitions and terms. I'd be here all month and never be able to sign off for a long time. But I just gave you people enough. You got to turn away from this stuff, folks. This is pure evil. We are in a war between good and evil, and it's manifesting, and you can't hide from it. Maybe you don't believe a thing I'm saying, but you can't deny that they're erasing gender and gender pronouns, even in our military. You can't tell me that they're not against free thinkers and conservatism, and they want to wipe you out, and they call you a threat to their democracy, which is strange that the hierarchy and the devil in the system likes the totalitarian, fascist, social democratic, and communistic forms of government the best, as to achieve this new spirituality. Fascism, totalitarianism, and social democratic, and communistic are religions. They're denominations of the oldest religion of Satanism there is, where you become your own God. You become your own God class. You're the elite, uber elite, destined to rule the lowerlings, the commoners, those filthy little Walmart shoppers. Boy, arrogance, condescendency is the thing, and you're being hoodwinked because you're going to spend eternity in hell in your super spiritual state. And God's saying, I'm warning you. The Lord God Almighty saying, I'm warning you. Come back to the Lord. Come back. I allow you to freely think. I want to reason with you. I'm not going to diametrically force you. I'm going to reason with you. If you hear the reason, what Jesus Christ did on the cross to expose what we really like to God and each other, how we betray, abandon, hurt people in life. Say, I'm a sinner. Forgive me, Lord, of all my bad doings. Help me change. Let me be born again in your spirit. Take some carpet time and pray like that. You can enter into the kingdom of heaven through what Jesus Christ did. You become born again of God's spirit. And he'll help you the rest of the way in these trying times. Because in my personal opinion and my research, it's going to get very, very bad. Unlike some people, I do not have much faith in the modern American church or the American church. I don't have much faith in the so-called churchanity stuff. In fact, the phrase churchanity comes from Alice Bailey. I bet you didn't know that. I found that by accident. She coined the phrase churchanity. Certain members of the body of Christ picked it up. Well, it is true. It is churchanity. It's the hierarchy playing both sides, infiltrating the church to make it not do its job, to lose its salt and its light, cover its light. So you're not a preservative factor anymore, keeping evil at bay and helping people, getting people saved. So the state of the modern church, in my opinion, is apostatizing big time. So I don't have much hope in that. My hope is in Jesus Christ alone, who's going to save a remnant. People who are going to get saved, born again, or are going to fill with the Holy Spirit. They're going to do exploits for God. This so-called great end-time revival is spoken about in the Bible in Revelation chapter 2 and 3. It calls judgment coming in the house of God first. You haven't heard that one taught before, except from me, probably maybe from Charles Lawson or somebody like that. But very few people teach that. That's where it is. 5 of the apostatizing church have to repent. That message has yet to get out to them. So we have a little time left. I don't know how much. It's counting down. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It can be delayed. It can be stopped if people can get it together in math and change things and repentance and so forth, etc. But I'm not going to hold my breath. I'm going to prepare my heart. I want to prepare your heart and mind to how to overcome by focusing in on Jesus Christ and getting your authority and your power and your marching orders from him. Not me and not from anybody else, but you're going to have to rely totally on Jesus and Jesus alone. It'll be like the first century church again in the midst of raw paganism, because the hierarchy is back. They're materializing on earth. As it says in Genesis there, chapter 3:15, God's going to put enmity between the seed of the woman and the devil's seed, which is the spiritual hierarchy who seeks to overshadow and control and possess people on earth and initiate them into Satanism. And what is that? Destroying angels and all the planes who will eventually, through the manipulation of the three forms of energy, bring to an end all that is. And the idea is bring you into the spirit world. Yeah, your spirit world will be in hell and later the lake of fire. The devil is lying to you. Well, folks, I'm going to end this segment. If you'd like to contact me, whatever, all my contact information is on the screen. And with that, you guys be blessed in Jesus' name.